I had to hop a barbed wire fence to get here, but I have found Stephanomeria occultata, a species of what are commonly called the wirelettuces you find in western North America. The Stephanomerias are within the subfamily Chicoideae of the family Asteraceae, which includes all the sunflower relatives with that classic capitulum type inflorescence that mimics flowers, even though it's a bunch of tiny flowers, which you can sort of see here. It's got the classic Chicoideae one as well, where it doesn't have the disc florets, only the ray florets or ligules with the 5 teeth at the tip. See how close I can get in? I can't zoom in very close, unfortunately. Oh well, I'll get a macro lens one day. But anyways, all that aside, what's really interesting about this plant is that it is endemic to the Weber River Canyon, and only a few places at that, typically near the bottom of the canyon, but not actually drawing riparian areas, just sort of in these talus-y areas where you don't get a lot of upper plants. So it's like here in one of our populations that are known so far. It could be found in a few extra areas, but for the most part, it just seems like this is where you find it, as far as we're aware. Quite range restricted, and it also took a long time to be officially described. It was only in 2018 when the paper was published, written by Blake Wellard and one other person who I can't remember. I'll put their name up. I mean, the reason I remember Blake Wellard is because Ashley was, or I should say, he was a co-worker of mine. Maybe it was more of a co-worker of his because I was a seasonal employee and he wasn't with Salt Lake City, but that's really all aside. I doubt he remembers me very much, but I certainly remember him. He's a pretty cool dude. Yeah, really good find, and just kind of crazy how some species can be hiding in plain sight like this. This is actually a fairly popular place to launch boats or inner tubes along the Weber River. I'm sure some of you people watching this have done that before, but kind of crazy that no one really noticed it was a new species until this recently. I mean, it had been collected before, one of these specimens, but I think it was misidentified or just thought to be a Stephanomeria tenuifolia, which I'll talk about in a second. Look at that, it's a specimen of Stephanomeria occultata that I would not have had to hop a fence to find. Oh well. Anyways, I think one of the reasons why this plant took so long to be officially described or recognized as something unique is that it looks so much like these other plants that grow right next to it, like this Ericameria nauseosa, a far more common plant species found all over the western United States. I've talked about quite a lot, also called a rubber rabbitbrush. It's got the same silvery leaves and stems, caused by the tomentose hairs they got on them. Of course, it doesn't bleed any milky sap at all, but it's impossible to deny how similar it looks. So just seeing that right there, I mean, it does look like something different, but maybe not that much. So it doesn't actually seem like a hot spot for botany otherwise. Now, one thing that was really annoying when I first got here was that I wanted to film some Stephanomeria occultata right along there because I knew you'd be able to find some individuals here. But it looks like since I kind of did some of my research on this by watching the Joey Santor Crime Pays But Botany Doesn't video where he actually made it with Blake Wellard, that I knew there'd be some Stephanomeria occultata right here, but this whole area since then must have been graded, the shoulder road, perhaps some more people can park and launch their grass here, but I'm not sure any of the people who did this even knew that there was a highly range restricted, definitely endangered, even if it wasn't listed, species of plant here. So I can't blame the people who did it too much, but I do blame the county or city or whatever government did this without doing some proper research. And I guess the species will still be fine otherwise. I mean, it had to have survived I-84 being put right through the heart of its habitat, but isn't that just unfortunate? You can tell this area was definitely graded not too long ago because you can see some shrubs or trees, or what would have been shrubs, like the stumps, that have just allowed to decay right here. Could have been maybe a Boxelder, maybe it was a sagebrush or something like that, but man, what a tragedy. I don't know. I'm going to presume for my sake that this sign is referring to the land behind it, not the road I was walking along. This is Toxicodendron rydbergii, the western poison ivy. Common plant you find in sort of waste sites in sunny or shady areas. So when it's in shady areas you get much larger leaves like this. Look how much rushy all that thing bled when the leaf broke. Yeah, growing in the shade of this Acer Negundo, or Boxelder, classic riparian species all throughout North America. Whenever it's tapping its roots deep down into the water table here. It's actually one of the few plants you might mistake poison ivy for, at least when it's young, certainly not when it's tree size. Right behind us we do got some other riparian species, likely better water access. This is Salix exigua, so I'm pretty sure it is. It can be a little tricky to tell sometimes with all those willows. It's a coyote or sandbar willow. And then we got Apocynum cannabinum, whose common name I can't really remember, and I don't really care to know too much, but it is certainly one of the dog banes. The namesake genus of the family of Apocynaceae, which is actually one of the largest plant families in the world, of over 6,000 species, mostly tropical, but you get a few other temperate ones like maybe some cycladinias and of course the Asclepias. That's really the one most people know this for, the milkweeds. And it certainly does look a bit like milkweed with its opposite leaves, just sort of general growth form, though its flowers, despite being in a cluster like milkweed, sort of, very different. They're also not open, so it's not the best way to get what I'm talking about. Back in some more typical habitat of Stephanomeria lacticina. It's a bit smaller than the other specimens I saw. It's actually pretty common in the small areas restricted to. I mean, its natural habitat seems to just be these limestone taluses near the very bottom of Weber Canyon. But in this area, it's fairly abundant actually. I've just been hanging on here for quite a while. I know the authors of the paper presume it's not a neo-endemic, but a paleo-endemic, so a species that was once much more widespread. Has since become rather range restricted. I think could be hiding out in a few other canyons around here. It's hard to tell for a while. Oh, look at this. We got Ericameria nauseosa, rubber rabbitbrush, Artemisia tridentata, another silvery plant, which from a distance it might look similar to, and Stephanomeria occultata, all growing next to each other. No wonder it took so long to discover. Well, it does look very similar to these plants it grows right next to. Compared to other species of Stephanomeria, it's actually not that distinct. I mean, sorry, it is very distinct, my bad. It'd be very hard to mistake it for any other species, especially just amongst the ones you find here. The ones that are most similar to are Stephanomeria lacticina and tenuifolia, and lacticina only produces one stem per plant. It is not tomentose hairy. It is shorter, but what it does have in common is that it produces 8 to 10 florets per capitulum, while this plant, occultata, produces 8 to 14. So not a perfect overlap, but at the lower end of that range, you might mistake them for each other, possibly. And tenuifolia is different because, though it does produce multiple stems, it is still shorter, only reaching about 50 centimeters in height. Well, look at this. Stephanomeria occultata can reach up to 1 meter in height, or about 3 feet tall at maturity. Stephanomeria tenuifolia is also not tomentose hairy, and it produces only 4 to 6 florets per capitulum. The species it seems to have the most in common with, actually, is Stephanomeria fluminea, which is endemic to northwest Wyoming. That species, to which is likely the closest relative, is tomentose hairy. It does produce multiple stems, and though it is smaller, it does look very similar. But what is different about it is that that plant is strictly riparian, while this one does grow at the bottom of Weber Canyon. It's in these pretty dry microsites, not actually along the river, at least as far as I can tell. And Stephanomeria fluminea also produces 4 to 6 florets per capitula. Have some better close-up footage of the capitula for you. Nice pink color. Of course, because I always gotta throw a bonus piece in there, got a species of Mentzelia, probably Mentzelia laevicaulis. I think that's what it's called. The common one around the Wasatch area that produces very large yellow flowers, though it's pretty far from blooming right now, unfortunately. I'd love to catch one in bloom. Oh well.